For successful plating, here are some general guidelines to follow. When you are ready to plate, make sure that the food is in close proximity in order to prevent any drips or spills. Next, identify the center point of your canvas and visualize the inner circle in the center. First, place the starch into section 1. Then place the vegetable into section 2. And finally, place the protein into section 3. A big mistake that many people make is leaving too much space in between the components. The diner's eyes will automatically be attracted to any gaps. By placing the components tightly together, this is not only more visually appealing, it also helps to keep the heat of the food intact. Another common mistake is to overcrowd the plate or pile the food too high. When compared side by side, you can see that the portion size on the left is much more balanced and refined than the plate on the right. Note, when plating, components are generally best placed in odd numbers, such as these carrots. Odd numbers are visually appealing and create a more balanced look. 2 potatoes on this plate do not look as good as 3. And 3 slices of meat will look much better than 4, and so on. If adding a sauce to a dish, which will add flavor, moisture, color, and flow, there are a few things to be aware of. If the main component of a dish contains a crispy skin or crust, it is often best to pour the sauce onto the plate first, and then place the component over top. This will prevent the exterior from becoming soggy on its way to the table. Certain foods can be sliced, fanned, and placed against another component to create some flow or style on the plate. Once sliced, transfer the food to the plate all at once. Do not transfer the food slice by slice, as this will cause it to lose its nice shape and quickly cool down. To showcase the doneness and interior of a sliced protein, or to provide color contrast to a plate, do not completely cover the food with the sauce. Simply spoon it along the bottom third or side of the meat like this. Poached or steamed foods that may appear bland-looking can be covered with a sauce in order to dress them up and keep them warm. This technique of fully coating an ingredient with a sauce is known as nappe. When saucing, be sure to bring the saucepan close to the plate to avoid any drips. You need to be confident and sauce the food without hesitation. You cannot be slow at pouring or drizzling. Slow pours wind up looking sloppy, whereas fast pours create cleaner, even lines. Once you commit, you need to follow through and just go for it. At this point, garnish can be added. Garnish can be used to provide extra texture, color, and even height. Just make sure the garnish is edible. For example, sprigs of hardy herbs such as thyme or rosemary are not edible. Even though it may look nice, nobody is going to eat that, and besides, it is wasteful. Also, do not get too carried away. Additions such as chopped parsley can make the plate look too messy. A plate that is overdone can also look too busy. Often it's the simplicity of a plated dish that makes it so beautiful. A word about finishing each component for the plate. Seasoning and shine are key. Make sure that each component is seasoned and a bit of shine is added. For example, the starch can be finished with some oil or a knob of butter to add a nice sheen. The vegetables should always be tossed with a bit as well, and of course seasoned. Even the protein can be coated with some of the leftover pan juices or coated in the sauce prior to plating. And where applicable, even the garnish should be lightly seasoned, drizzled with a bit of oil, and gently tossed to add a light sheen. When compared to a plate that was not finished with the same attention to detail, you can see a big difference. The simple act of finishing a plate properly will take your cooking to yet another level. As a general rule, the outer perimeter of the canvas should be a no-food zone to keep the food tight and clean looking. This basically creates a mat or border around your artwork. Once a dish has been finalized, the plate needs to be examined for any spills. If you see any marks, wipe them away with a damp, pre-rolled cloth like this. Smudges from greasy fingers can be trickier to see, so it is useful to wipe the entire perimeter to ensure it is spotless. When plating more than one plate at a time, plate all the starch first, then the vegetables, then the protein, and so on. Do not plate one at a time. This is inefficient and the food will suffer. Simply set up the plates and get started. Finally, to ease the stress of plating, make sure that not all the components of the meal demand last-minute attention. For example, you do not want to be cooking risotto, sautéing vegetables, and pan-frying fish all at the same time, as each component demands attention. Think about the cooking methods before you even start cooking. This is another reason why plenty of planning and orchestration are required on the cook's part.